Good morning everyone. Now we discuss another chapter, Animal Kingdom. All multicellular animals are included in kingdom. So that is Animalia. Another name of animal kingdom is Animalia. Animal kingdom, all multicellular animals. All multicellular animals included in the kingdom, animal kingdom. So name of the animal kingdom is Animalia. Animalia. Multicellular organism means if the animal contain more than one cell in the body, known as multicellular animal. All multicellular animals are included in animal kingdom, namely Animalia. So this kingdom classified into 34 phyla, each phyla into different classes, each class into different orders, each order into different families. So the classification of the kingdom Animalia based on types of cells, symmetry, coelom, various organ systems. So all multicellular animals included in kingdom, animal kingdom, classified into different phyla based on types of cells. What type of cells they possess? Symmetry. What is symmetry? If we cut the animal, any animal, through the central part of the body, if we cut the animal through plane, what is plane? Plane means flat surface. If we cut any animal through plane passing through the central part, if the body becomes two equal halves, known as symmetrical animal. If we cut any animal through plane passing through center of the body, if the body become two unequal parts, known as asymmetry, such animals are known as asymmetrical animals. Symmetry. What is symmetry? If you cross any animal through plane passing through central part of the body, if the body divides into two equal halves, known as symmetry. If the body becomes two unequal parts, known as asymmetry. Next one, coelom. What is coelom? Body cavity present between body wall and alimentary canal, lined by mesodermal layer, is known as coelom. So it is the body wall. It is the body wall. So the cavity present between body wall and alimentary canal, and at the same time this cavity is lined by mesodermal layer, known as coelom. Coelom means body cavity lined by mesodermal layer. Where body cavity is present between body wall and alimentary canal. Cavity present between body wall and alimentary canal is known as body cavity. If the body cavity is lined by mesodermal layer, is known as coelom. And organ systems. So numerous animals having different organ system, but not same organ system. In some animals, alimentary canal with one mouth, in some animal two. In some animal, alimentary canal with one opening, mouth only. In most of the animal, alimentary canal has two openings. Similarly, in circulatory system, in some animals, heart is present, in some animal, heart is absent. In some animal, blood capillaries are absent. So depending upon the presence or absence of different organ. So different phyla have different types of organ systems. So same organs not present in the same organ system. For example, digestive system is one organ system. In case of frog, large intestine represented by only rectum. Generally in higher organisms, large intestine contains cecum, colon, rectum, 3 parts. But in frog, large intestine is represented by rectum only. So in this manner, depending upon the types of cells, symmetry, coelom, organ system, animals are classified into different phyla. So these are the scientist considered these points during classification. So these points are basis for classification. Types of cells, symmetry, coelom, organ system. Now we discuss symmetry. So all multicellular animals are included in animal kingdom. Name is Animalia. Now we discuss symmetry. What is symmetry? If you cut any animal through plane passing through central point, the body become 2 equal halves, known as symmetry. Such animals are known as symmetrical animals. If we cut the animal through central point, the body become 2 unequal halves, known as asymmetry. Such animals are known as asymmetrical animals. Now we discuss symmetry. So you should remember 4 definitions. One is principal axis. Axis, plane of symmetry. So now we discuss definitions. Principal axis. What is principal axis? Principal axis is a imaginary straight line. Principal axis is a imaginary straight line. Connect the 2 midpoints present on the same surface, or connect the 2 midpoints present on different surface. It is one midpoint, it is another midpoint. They are present on different surfaces. So what is principal axis? Principal axis is a imaginary straight line. Connect the 2 midpoints present on the same surface. We assume it is the body of an animal. It is one midpoint, it is another midpoint. So what is principal axis? Imaginary straight line. Connect the 2 midpoints present on the same surface. It is one midpoint, it is another midpoint. Connect the 2 midpoints present on the same surface, or connect the 2 midpoints present on different surfaces is known as principal axis. If we cut the animal through principal axis only, the body become 2 equal halves. We assume board is a animal. If we cut the animal through principal axis, it is 1 equal half, it is another equal half. What is principal axis? Principal axis is a imaginary straight line. Connect the 2 midpoints present on the same surface or present on different surfaces. Next one, axis. Axis is also a imaginary straight line. Connect the 2 points. So it is the axis. Axis is a imaginary straight line. Connect the 2 points. It is one point, it is another point, not midpoints. So if we cut the animal through axis, what happens? It is a large part and it is a small part. So if we cut the animal through axis, body become 2 unequal halves. Now what is axis? Axis is a imaginary straight line. Connect the 2 points, not midpoints. If we cut the animal through axis, the body become 2 unequal halves. Next one, plane. What is plane? Plane means flat surface. Plane means flat surface. What is plane of symmetry? Plane of symmetry means flat surface passing through principal axis. Flat surface passing through principal axis is known as plane of symmetry. If we cut the animal through principal axis and plane of symmetry, then only the body become 2 equal halves. What is plane of symmetry? Plane of symmetry is a flat surface passing through principal axis. If we cut the animal through principal axis and plane of symmetry, then only the body become 2 equal halves. What is principal axis? Principal axis is a imaginary straight line. Connect the 2 midpoints present on the same surface, or connect the 2 midpoints present on different surfaces. What is axis? Axis also imaginary straight line. Connect the 2 points, not midpoints. Next one, plane. Flat surface is known as plane. What is plane of symmetry? Flat surface passing through principal axis is known as plane of symmetry. If we cut the animal through principal axis and plane of symmetry, then only the body becomes 2 equal halves. Now we discuss types of symmetry. Symmetry is of 2 types, radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry. Radial symmetry. A few members of porifera. Most of the poriferans are asymmetrical. We already discussed asymmetrical means if we cut the animal through any plane passing through central part of the body become 2 unequal halves is known as asymmetry. Asymmetry. Example, most of the members of phylum porifera. Most of the members of phylum porifera. We discuss the meaning later. Asymmetry. Example, most of the members of phylum porifera. Radial symmetry. Radial symmetry exhibited by members of the phylum Cnidaria. Ctenophora. Adult echinoderms. Adult echinoderms or adult echinodermata, members of phylum Echinodermata, exhibit radial symmetry. What is radial symmetry? All radially symmetrical animals are cylindrical or umbrella shape. Cylindrical or umbrella shape. Hydra is cylindrical. Principal axis is extend from middle part of the mouth to a oral surface. What is oral surface? The part of the body contain mouth is known as oral surface. In the center of this surface, mouth is present, so it is known as oral surface. Opposite to oral is known as aboral surface. Oral surface, aboral surface. Oral surface, aboral surface. What is oral? The surface on which mouth is present known as oral. The surface on which mouth is present is known as oral. So the surface opposite to oral is known as aboral. In radially symmetrical animals, the principal axis extend from middle region of oral surface to middle region of aboral surface. Middle region of oral surface to middle region of aboral surface. So they may ask, the principal axis in radially symmetrical animals is oroaboral axis. Oroaboral axis. Body parts are present around and along the oroaboral axis. Around and along the oroaboral axis. Sensory structures, feeding structures present around and along the oroaboral axis. For example, it is the animal, cylindrical animal. If we cut the animal like this, two equal halves. If you cut like this, two equal. If you cut the animal any plane passing through oroaboral axis, body become two equal halves. Like that, in any plane passing through oroaboral axis, the body become two equal halves. How many principal axes present in animals exhibit radial symmetry? Only one principal axis, oroaboral axis. How many planes of symmetry? Many planes of symmetry. Many planes of symmetry. Radial symmetry is advantage to sedentary animal. Sedentary animal means fixed to the substratum. So why it is advantage? You already know sensory structures and feeding structures are present around and along the oroaboral axis. So the animal can capture the prey from the back side or from the forward direction also. Back side means from the dorsal surface. What is back? Correct word is dorsal surface. What is dorsal? The part of the body away from the substratum, dorsal. The part of the body nearer to substratum, ventral. So in radially symmetrical animal, sensory structures and feeding structures are present around and along oroaboral axis. So the animal can capture the prey in any direction. That's why radial symmetry is advantage to sedentary animals. Sedentary animals. What is sedentary? Fixed to the substratum. The animal attached to the substratum like plants, known as sedentary animal. So sedentary animals, radial symmetry is advantageous. Now once again, radial symmetry. Radial symmetry seen in members of phylum Cnidaria, Ctenophora, adult echinodermata, members of echinodermata. Principal axis in radial symmetry, oroaboral axis. So where it is present? From the middle region of mouth, middle region of aboral surface. What is oral surface? The surface contain mouth is known as oral. and the opposite surface is known as aboral. If we cut the radially symmetrical animals any plane like this, two equal halves, like this, two equal, any plane passing through oro-aboral axis, the body become two equal halves. So how many principal axes present in radial symmetry? Only one. How many planes of symmetry? Many planes of symmetry. And the symmetry is advantage to sedentary animal. The animal fixed to the substratum. Why it is advantage? Yes, to sedentary animals. In radially symmetrical animal, feeding structures and sensory structures are present around and along the oro-aboral axis. The animal can capture the prey from dorsal surface, from the ventral surface, from the sides also. Oro-aboral. Okay. Next one, what about echinodermata? Most of them contain 5 arms. So starfish also example for echinodermata. You all know they have 5 arms. Larval forms of echinodermata exhibit bilateral symmetry. Larval forms are free swimming. For free moving animals, bilateral symmetry is advantage. While discussing bilateral symmetry, we discuss that point. You already know for sedentary animals, radial symmetry is advantageous. The free swimming larva metamorphoses into sedentary adult. So for sedentary animal, radial symmetry is advantageous. That's why in the members of phylum Echinodermata, larval forms exhibit bilateral symmetry while adult exhibit radial symmetry. Here, one unique character of radial symmetry in Echinodermata. Generally, they have 5 arms. One plane of symmetry passing through each arm. If you cut the animal through this plane, body become 2 equal halves. In this manner, each arm contain one plane of symmetry. So, number of planes of symmetry in adult Echinodermata 5. So, it is known as pentamerous radial symmetry. Pentamerous radial symmetry. In radial symmetry, one principal axis and many planes of symmetry. But in adult echinoderms, only 5 planes of symmetry. So, one plane passing through each arm, it is one plane, it is another. In this manner, 5 planes. If you cut the animal through principal axis, through any plane, body become 2 equal halves. So, that's why in adult Echinodermata, animals have 5 planes of symmetry, so it is known as pentamerous radial symmetry. But in Cnidaria and Ctenophora, many planes, radial symmetry with many planes. In adult Echinodermata, radial symmetry with 5 planes of symmetry. That's why radial symmetry exhibited by adult echinoderms also known as pentamerous radial symmetry. This is about radial symmetry. Animals exhibit radial symmetry or cylindrical or umbrella shape. In radially symmetrical animal, principal axis extend from oral surface to aboral surface. Oral surface to aboral surface. Oral surface to aboral surface. What is oral surface? The surface contained mouth is known as oral. Opposite surface is known as aboral. Another point, body parts are present around and along the oro-aboral axis. The body parts are present around and along oro-aboral axis. Radial symmetry is advantageous to sedentary animals. So the animal can engulf the prey from any direction. If the prey is present on the dorsal surface, with the help of feeding structure present on the dorsal surface, it captures. If the prey is present on the ventral surface, with the help of feeding structure present on the ventral surface, it engulfs the prey. So how many planes of symmetry seen in radial symmetry? Many planes of symmetry. Example for radial symmetry: members of phylum Cnidaria, Ctenophora, adult echinodermata. How the radial symmetry exhibited by adult echinoderms differ from Cnidaria and Ctenophora. In adult echinoderms, 5 planes of symmetry are present. If you cut the animal through any one of the planes, the body becomes 2 equal halves. So this is about radial symmetry. Discuss bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry. Bi means 2, lateral means side. The body becomes 2 equal right and left halves. Human beings also exhibit bilateral symmetry. In bilateral symmetry, principal axis is anterior-posterior axis. Anterior-posterior axis. Plane of symmetry, mid-sagittal plane. You already know in radial symmetry, principal axis is oroeboral axis. In bilateral symmetry, anterior-posterior axis. Where it is present? From middle region of anterior to middle region of the anus. Means from anterior to posterior. What is anterior? We are bipedal. For example, if you observe 4-legged animals, what is anterior? During locomotion, the organism keep a particular part in the direction of locomotion, that is anterior. Opposite is posterior. But human beings are bipedal. We perform locomotion with the help of 2 legs. So what is anterior? The part of the body in the direction of locomotion is known as anterior, and opposite is known as posterior. You may observe dog, cattle, elephant, all quadrupedal. Animal perform locomotion with 4 legs. Anterior posterior axis. For example, in human being, middle region of the head, that is known as vertex, from middle region of the head to middle region of the anus. Anterior posterior axis is the principal axis. What is sagittal plane? The plane passing from dorsal to ventral. What is dorsal? We already discussed. The part of the body away from the substratum where we stand or where we perform locomotion, that is known as substratum. Okay? What is sagittal plane? The plane passing from dorsal to ventral. What is dorsal? The part of the body away from the substratum. Ventral, the part of the body nearer to substratum, is known as ventral. What is mid-sagittal? The plane, what is sagittal? The plane passing from dorsal to ventral is known as sagittal. What is mid-sagittal? The plane passing from mid-dorsal to mid-ventral. So it is the mid-sagittal plane. It is the middle region of ventral surface. and it is the middle region of dorsal surface. The plane passing from mid dorsal to mid ventral, so it is known as mid sagittal plane. So for better understanding, we discuss one example, Ardhanarishwar. So you all know, in Ardhanarishwar 50% God, Lord Shiva, and the remaining 50% Goddess Parvati. So the axis is, the plane is known as mid sagittal plane. So what is mid sagittal plane? The plane passing from mid dorsal to mid ventral. So it is the mid sagittal plane. If cut the human body in mid sagittal plane, the body become two equal right and left halves. So that's why it got the name bilateral symmetry. Bi means two, laterally means sides. The body become two equal halves laterally. Such type of symmetry is known as bilateral symmetry. So principal axis is anterior posterior axis and plane of symmetry mid sagittal plane. In addition to plane of symmetry, two normal planes also present. One is frontal plane, not plane of symmetry, planes, frontal plane, transfer plane, transverse plane, frontal plane and transfer plane. So like this. You all know it is the mid sagittal plane and it is the frontal plane. Frontal plane, if we cut the body in frontal plane, the body become two unequal dorsal and ventral. Frontal plane. It is a transfer plane. If we cut the animal through transfer plane, the body become two unequal anterior and posterior. So it is the transfer plane, it is the frontal plane and it is the mid sagittal plane. These three planes are at right angle: mid sagittal plane, frontal plane and transverse plane. So in bilateral symmetrical animal, only one principal axis, anterior posterior axis, and only one plane of symmetry, mid sagittal plane. So in bilateral symmetrical animal, if we cut the animal through anterior posterior axis and mid sagittal plane, the body becomes two equal halves. Examples: from platyhelminthes to chordata, all animals exhibit bilateral symmetry. Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, chordata. Bilateral symmetry exhibited by members of phylum Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, chordata. You should know the meaning also. Platy means flat, helminth means worms, flat worms. Body is dorsiventrally flattened like leaf or like tape, measuring tape. That's why they are commonly known as flat worms. Most of the flat worms are parasites. Nearly most of the flat worms. Aschelminthes, Asche means round, helminth means worm. The animals are cylindrical. Chalk piece is cylindrical. If you cut the chalk transversely, it is the chalk. If you cut the chalk transversely, what happen? It appear as a aperture. Means it appear as a round. That's why they are commonly known as roundworms. For example, it is the animal. If you cut, what happens? The transverse section appear as a round. That's why they are commonly known as roundworms. Platyhelminthes, flatworm. Aschyhelminthes, roundworms. Most of the helminthes are parasites. Next one, Annelida. Annulus means rings, eidos means form. Body is in the form of several ring-like structures. Like this, several ring-like structure. It is one ring-like structure, it is another ring-like structure. In this manner, body is in the form of several ring-like structures. So these ring-like structures are known as metameres or segments. If the body is in the form of metameres or segment, such animals are included in phylum Annelida. Annulus means rings, eidos means form. Body is in the form of several ring-like structures. Each ring-like structure is known as metamere or segment. So earthworms include in Annelida. Arthropoda. Arthro means jointed, poda means foot. So foot are the hanging parts. Hanging parts, all hanging parts are known as appendages. Animals having jointed appendages included in phylum Arthropoda. Appendage. Appendage means hanging part. Animals having jointed appendages included in phylum Arthropoda. So it is the largest phylum regarding animal species. So nearly 10 lakh species. So far 12,50,000 animal species were classified. Out of 12,50,000, 10 lakh, nearly 10 lakh animal species included in phylum Arthropoda. So it is the largest phylum regarding number of animal species. Next one, mollusca. Mollis means soft, means animals have soft body. So the body is soft. To protect the soft body from the surrounding hard objects, body is covered by shell. So mollusca, animals having soft body included in phylum mollusca. Snails, phyla, apple snail. So that they come under mollusca. Pearl oyster, mollusca, soft bodied animals. Nearly 1 lakh animal species included in this phylum. So largest phylum in animal kingdom regarding number of species Arthropoda. Mollusca is the second largest phylum. Nearly 1 lakh animal species included in mollusca. Echinodermata. Echino means spiny, derma means skin, eta means bearing. On the surface of the body, several spines are present. So spiny skinned animals, starfishes included in phylum Echinodermata. Spiny skinned animals included in phylum Echinodermata. Echino, spiny, derma, skin. Spiny skinned animals. Arthro, jointed. Arthro means jointed. Echino means spiny skinned animals. Hemichordata. Hemi means half chordates. What is the meaning? Doubtful chordates. No doubt they are invertebrates only. Hemichordates also invertebrates. That is the literary meaning. Why it got the name? We discussed while discussing general characters and classification of phylum Hemichordata. The phylum Hemichordata also one of the invertebrate phyla. Next one, chordata. Animals having notochord. Animals having notochord at some stage in their lifespan included in phylum chordata. What is notochord? Stiff rod-like structure present on the mid-dorsal surface of the body. It gives support to the body, provide place for attachment of muscles. In higher chordates, notochord is replaced by vertebral column or backbone. So chordata is the third largest phylum regarding number of species. 65,000 animal species included in phylum chordata. Chorda means notochord, data means wearing. Notochord, animals having notochord. What is notochord? Stiff rod-like structure present on the mid-dorsal surface. Notochord. Platyhelminthes, flatworms. Aschelminthes, roundworms. Annelida. So body is in the form of several rings. These rings are known as metameres. Arthropoda, animals having jointed legs or jointed appendages. Legs are hanging parts. So you may say jointed appendages. It is the largest phylum regarding number of animal species. Mollusca, animals having soft body. Mollusca, mollis means a soft body. Echinodermata, spiny skinned animals. Echino means spiny, derma means skin, eta means bearing. Animal having spines on the surface of the body, spiny skinned animals. Hemichordata, literary meaning is doubtful chordates. No doubt they are invertebrates only, not chordates. Chordata, animals having notochord at some stage in their lifespan known as chordata. Or animals having notochord at some stage in their life cycle are included in phylum chordata. It is the third largest phylum. So, bilateral symmetry. Bilateral symmetry. Once again, bilateral symmetry. Bi means two, lateral means side. The body is divisible into two equal halves. For example, in human being, so it is the mid-sagittal plane. If we cut the body in mid-sagittal plane, the body become two equal halves, right and left half. Each half contain eye, one nostril, but some organs occur singly, like mouth occurs singly. Such parts so equally distributed in two equal halves. Bilateral symmetry. So in bilateral symmetry, principal axis is anterior-posterior axis. The anterior-posterior axis extends from anterior to posterior. In case of human being, middle region of head to middle region of the anus. Middle region of head to middle region of anus. And the plane of symmetry is mid-sagittal plane. Extend from mid-dorsal to mid-ventral. Mid-sagittal plane. So, two planes also present in bilateral symmetrical animal. One is frontal plane. If you cut the body in frontal plane, the body become two unequal dorsal and ventral. If we cut the animal through transfer plane, the body become two unequal anterior and posterior parts. Anterior and posterior. So frontal, transfer plane and mid-sagittal plane are present at right angle. It is the frontal and it is the mid-sagittal and it is the transverse. These three are present at right angle. Example for bilateral symmetry, Platyhelminthes to chordata. Platyhelminthes commonly known as flatworms. Aschelminthes commonly known as roundworms. Annelida commonly known as, they are earthworms included. Why this phylum got the name Annelida? Annulus means rings, Eidos means worms. Earthworms, leeches included in Annelida. Arthropoda, jointed appendages. Animals having jointed appendages, houseflies, mosquitoes, cockroach, locust. So different types of animals having jointed appendages included in phylum Arthropoda. It is the largest phylum. Mollusca is the second largest phylum. Mollis means soft body. Mollis. Mollis means a soft body. So shell is present around the soft body for protection. It is the second largest phylum regarding number of species. Echinodermata, spiny skinned animal. Echino means spiny, derma means skin, eta means bearing, spiny skinned animal. Hemichordata, half chordates. Chordata, animals having notochord, included in phylum Chordata. Bilateral symmetry is more advantageous than radial symmetry. In all bilateral symmetrical animals exhibit cephalization. Cepha means head, presence of prominent head, well-developed head. So all bilateral symmetrical animals, while performing locomotion, they keep the head in the new environment. Head contain organs of vision, smell, hearing, and main part of central nervous system, brain. So the head contain organs of vision. Similarly, hearing, vision, hearing, smell, taste. That's why bilateral symmetrical animal, whenever they enter into new environment, they quickly respond to the new environment. That's why most of the successful animals exhibit bilateral symmetry. So whenever they keep their head in the new environment, immediately respond to the external stimuli. If prey is present, immediately engulf. If predator is present, try to escape from the predator. That's why bilateral symmetry is advantage to animals when compared to radial symmetry. So this is about bilateral symmetry. So in the next class we discuss coelom.